All right, the good news is that the pressure is on both candidates to release more information, financial and certainly medical, after what we just went through with Hillary Clinton, who we now know is being treated for pneumonia, she says. Candidates are not required by law to release their full medical records. Some do, to prevent speculation like what we're going through right now. But what could we see in medical records? What should we see if we want to make a straight evaluation? Let's discuss with Dr. Devi Parampal. She is an assistant professor of anesthesiology and rehabilitation at the NYU School of Medicine. Dr. Devi, it is good to have you here.
Good to see you.
Let's start with the specific. What you saw with the video of Hillary Clinton and what you've heard about it being pneumonia and then the list of other things that she's on for thyroid and allergies and such, what would be your concern right now in terms of her specifically?
Well, right now with the pneumonia, you just want to make sure that she stays hydrated, especially since she had that episode, and that she's responding in terms of the pneumonia to the antibiotics. So if it's bacterial, are these the right antibiotics? If it's viral, is she recovering well?
Not all pneumonia requires antibiotics.
Exactly. If it's
and what
viral,
you saw of the video, that is something that can happen when you're dehydrated?
Definitely, definitely. Your blood pressure can get low, your oxygen level can get low if you have pneumonia, and you can have an episode like that.
All right, so now that's the specific. Now we get to this macro issue of transparency. As a doctor, what do you think that voters would want to know about two older candidates in terms of fitness for office?
Well, I think it has to do with their risk of death and disability, right? So if you apply for any job, you usually have to go through some kind of pre-employment testing, whether it's through employee health or through your own doctor. Now, I actually think an objective person might be a little bit better than your own doctor, because your own doctor is your advocate, and you control also how much they can
Is that true? Because I got some stink from doctors yesterday. Really, Sanjay should have gotten it, because he said it first. But everybody loves Sanjay. But the suggestion was, whoa, doctors are objective. That's not always the case. If this is your doctor, it would not be unusual. So they are your advocate. So you believe it should be independent review, someone like you, Sanjay, to look at it. And then what would be the it? What would you want to see?
Well, first, so I think it has to be a combination of the patient's own doctor who's followed them for a long time, but then an independent review of what they've done as well. But the things I would be looking for, let's say, if we're talking about risk of death, I mean, in the age group of 65 and above, the things you worry about most statistically based on the CDC findings are heart disease, if someone has some type of neurologic illness, if they have a respiratory illness, or if they're at risk for cancer, if they have cancer. Those are the things that are the highest probability that someone might potentially die from.
So we're putting up on the screen now for the audience stress tests, that's your possible heart disease, imaging studies, MRIs, CAT scans, things where you get a sense of how the systems are working, lab work, blood work,
sure,
medications, past, present conditions. And all of this, you would want the records, right?
The records usually, so you'd like to see what they've had done. Now, sometimes people avoid the doctor, right? Or they don't necessarily report symptoms. So if you haven't seen the doctor in 20 years, you may not have a lot of medical conditions.
That's a fair point. You can get around this by saying, sure, you can see it, but I don't go. So do you believe that the time has come that we should have candidates, especially when they're in this upper age category, reviewed? You know, the way you do for everything else. You know, you want insurance, they're going to come and they're going to look at you themselves. You want to be a pro athlete and they're going to pay you all this money. Certainly, that exposure is a lot less than someone being the leader of the free world. Do you think the time has come to have a Dr. Devi, or somebody, maybe it's the Surgeon General, whoever it is, look at these people?
I think so. I mean, not just based on age. I think we should have a set criteria for what are the job tasks, the essential job functions, and then based on that, look at what tests would be most appropriate to see if the person can perform those functions, right? So some of that may not even involve your risk of death. I mean, some of that may have to do with, let's say, vision or hearing, if you're thinking about somebody's ability to communicate in high-pressure settings or kind of read the room, their ability to observe what's going on.
And to be clear, that list that we put up on the screen has not been satisfied by either. Clinton has come closer, not as close as those in the past, and certainly a lot closer than Donald Trump. Dr. Devi, thank you so much. Do me a favor, when we get the information in from them, we'll have you back so you can say, here's what they gave us, here's what we still need, here's what it means.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Allison.
How much money has Donald Trump given to charity? Up next, the Washington Post reporter who spent months investigating Trump's foundation gives us the answer.